Tadej Pogačar had already won the 2026 Tour de France. The final stage into Paris was supposed to be a formality. Champagne, photographs, a sprinter's finish. Nobody attacks on the last day. Then Pogačar attacked anyway, Van der Poel followed, and what unfolded on the cobbles of Montmartre became one of the most shocking finales in 113 editions of the Tour. This story begins with a decision that rewrote the stage before a single pedal turned. It is a parade of champagne toasts, jersey photos, and relaxed riding. Real racing only begins when the peloton reaches the cobblestones of Paris, and even then the outcome is almost always a foregone conclusion. The wide, sweeping boulevards of the Champs-Élysées are built for a mass sprint, controlled by teams that have spent 3 weeks protecting their fastest riders. In 2026, those teams were fully prepared to execute this familiar plan. Squads like Alpecin de Suning, Lidl Trek, and Visma Lease Bike had structured their entire strategy around designated sprinters. Jasper Philipsen, Mads Pedersen, and Tim Merlier were poised for a classic, high-speed showdown. To launch a late breakaway under these conditions is usually considered a strategic error. The sprinters' lead-out trains are simply too organized, and the flat, open roads make it easy for the chasing pack to catch any lone attacker. On July 22, 2026, the Amaury Sport organization issued an emergency directive that changed the final day before the riders even turned a pedal. The race was officially shortened from 133 kilometers to just 89. Massive wildfires in southwest France had consumed over 32,000 hectares of forest and forced the evacuation of nearly 200,000 citizens, prompting the Ministry of the Interior to redeploy essential police units from the Tour to active disaster zones. Unable to safely secure the rural roads from Tory, organizers confined the entire stage to the city limits of Paris. This structural shift instantly disrupted peloton psychology. In modern cycling, sports directors calculate caloric burn, pacing, and lead-out timing to the second. Stripping 44 kilometers from the route shattered those calculations. Instead of a slow, ceremonial procession, the teams faced a shortened, ultra-intense criterium. The compression of the distance meant there would be no time for recovery, raising the stakes and forcing teams to adapt on the fly. With the route modified, officials froze the general classification standings at the start line. This meant Tadej Pogačar's lead of 6 minutes and 26 seconds over Remco Evenepoel was completely protected. The overall contenders no longer had a reason to drive the pace or defend their positions, stripping the main field of its usual chase engines. Meanwhile, the route kept the steep, cobbled climb of Montmartre intact. This 1-kilometer obstacle, narrow and packed with roaring crowds, stood as a volatile bottleneck. On a standard stage, a break on this hill could easily be pulled back. But with the total distance cut to 89 kilometers, the sprinters had almost no road left to organize a pursuit. The administrative decision and the physical terrain had combined to create an explosive environment where a single attack could decide the final day. On a 5% gradient over rough stones, standard high-speed sprint trains cannot function. Success relies entirely on explosive power and split-second positioning. Seizing the chaos, Mathieu Van der Poel surged forward near the crest. Tadej Pogačar, riding instinctively, latched onto his wheel. At this critical moment, physics took over. On a steep, cobbled climb, drafting provides a massive aerodynamic advantage, even at lower climbing speeds, saving vital watts. By aligning perfectly behind Pogačar and then trading turns on the crest, Van der Poel established a slim 15-second gap. Behind them, the sprinters' teams were in disarray, unable to form their structured lead-out trains on the narrow, twisting roads. In this compressed, high-speed finale, absolute top-end speed on flat roads mattered far less than the immediate aerodynamic advantage of a small, committed breakaway group. The two superstars had broken the textbook rules of the Paris finale, leaving the chasing peloton to scramble. Tadej Pogačar had nothing to gain by attacking. With his lead locked at over 6 minutes, the yellow jersey was safe, and standard cycling logic dictated he stay buried in the bunch. Yet Pogačar rides for history. For him, a ceremonial procession is a wasted opportunity to assert dominance on the sport's greatest stage. For Mathieu Van der Poel, the calculation was equally aggressive. While his team possessed the fastest pure sprinter in Jasper Philipsen, a shortened race offered no guarantees of a clean lead-out. Van der Poel's physical engine, built on violent, short-duration watt output and cyclocross-honed bike handling, suited the brutal cobbles of Montmartre perfectly. Rather than trusting the lottery of a disorganized sprint, he chose to gamble on his own strength. By joining forces, the two superstars transformed a quiet parade into a raw contest of intent, forcing a split-second decision that caught the entire peloton off guard. The chase behind the two leaders fell apart in seconds. On the narrow descent from Montmartre, the standard blueprint for a flat-out sprint finish no longer existed. Usually, specialized lead-out riders form pristine trains to control the speed, but the brutal gradient and the cobblestones had already scattered these squads across the hillside. Team Alpecin Premier Tech held a conflicting hand. Their leader, Mathieu van der Poel, was off the front, leaving co-leader Jasper Philipsen waiting in the wings. This dual-threat setup paralyzed rival teams like Lidl Trek and Visma Lease Bike. If they chased, they risked pulling Philipsen to the line. If they waited, Van der Poel would win solo. With the stage shortened to 89 kilometers, fatigue was sharp and immediate, leaving no time to rebuild shattered formations. Mismatched team roles and hesitation turned a calculated pursuit into a series of uncoordinated surges. Nobody wanted to spend their remaining energy pulling a rival back to the front, and the gap held firm. UAE Team Emirates XRG rode to protect Tadej Pogacar's yellow jersey and Isaac Del Toro's historic third-place podium. Alpecin de Suning held a tactical stranglehold, threatening a solo win with Mathieu van der Poel while keeping Jasper Philipsen ready for a mass sprint. This dual threat forced rivals into a strategic deadlock. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe and Remco Evenepoel guarded the remaining GC positions, while Lidl Trek focused entirely on Mads Pedersen. With Richard Carapaz, Paul Sixus and Tim Merlier marking every move, competing priorities shattered any hope of a coordinated pursuit. "This victory feels really good," Van der Poel said immediately after crossing the line. "I've been thinking about this for a year now. Last year I was sick and had to watch. For 12 months, the pain of forced isolation fueled him." While standard logic dictated a conservative sprint, the champion mindset operates on a different frequency. Like Michael Jordan or Max Verstappen, the risk of failure is secondary to the obsession with winning. Pogacar's presence only sharpened this drive. Greatness recognizes greatness. Van der Poel's gamble proved that sometimes the hardest path is the only one worth taking. Mathieu van der Poel crossed the line in 1 hour, 58 minutes and 49 seconds, capturing the Paris stage by a tire's width. Behind him, Tadej Pogačar secured his 5th Tour de France title, joining Jacques Anquetil, Eddy Merckx, Bernard Hinault and Miguel Indurain in the most exclusive club in cycling history. Remco Evenepoel claimed 2nd overall, while 22-year-old Isaac Del Toro became the youngest rider on the final podium. Richard Carapaz swept both the King of the Mountains jersey and the Super Combativity Award, capping off a day where modern legends rewrote the limits of the sport. Today, the final stage in Paris is no longer a ceremonial parade, but a live battleground. By shattering cycling's oldest unwritten rule, these champions proved that true greatness never stops racing. Was this the greatest Tour finish in history? Share your perspective in the comments, subscribe for more stories.